Fighting in the east has come to characterize Ukraine. But Ukraine's struggle for survival and self-determination, free of corrupt governments and Russian influence, is fought on many other fronts. In this program, we'll look at 4 distinct challenges Ukraine faces, in addition to fighting on its borders. From cyber defense to internal defense, fixing its forces to telling the truth. Ukraine faces challenges that may determine its very survival. The information campaign against Ukraine has stepped up. From bad Photoshop jobs to professionally cast actors, the attacks on Ukraine's credibility are endless and put Ukraine in an impossible situation to try and counter.
It's fluctuating, but I think it never stops. I mean, the information war.
Facing a well-funded and monolithic Russian communications machine, Ukraine just doesn't have the resources to debunk every false message. But to do nothing leaves it vulnerable to the lies gaining traction.
If I talk honestly about counter-propaganda, how do you destroy the messages Russia produces? Unfortunately, they're leading in this war. For us, it's important to disseminate truthful information. We're not talking about fighting with them. We want to install channels of communication that will in return counteract the Russian propaganda that's flooded us.
Truth and openness ought to be Ukraine's most powerful weapons against false news. But their ministries have been slow to disseminate information to the public, especially to conflict areas in the east.
For you to understand that in Crimea and Donbass there are very few people who are watching Ukrainian TV. They are watching Russian TV. The population saw the events with the eyes of the Kremlin.
And when people do have access to internet, popular social media sites like Vkontakte are primarily Russian language, making them hotbeds of easily shareable false images and rumors.
As for the occupied territories, there are some citizens that are pro-Ukrainian, but because of their situation, they cannot do anything.
The setting up of a Ministry of Information Policy was a well-intentioned but unpopular step to try and synchronize Ukraine's communications. Almost no one in Ukraine doubts Russia is waging an information war, but the best way to respond is still hotly debated.
If we talk about communications, then we talk about introducing a national identity and a common understanding that can unite us and bring us closer to victory.
Building credibility also means self-regulating. Ukrainian media aren't immune to making mistakes and falling for false news.
They just spread without thinking. I mean, just if something might look like anti-Russian, Ukrainian media or just, separate Ukrainian bloggers or whatever, they can start spreading it around without double check.
Building a new Ukraine that is inclusive, modern and prosperous is a challenge that seems insurmountable. But the strength and will that started the Euromaidan can still be seen in volunteers like Margot and in a new open media that puts truth before a good story.
We have this saying that the truth and God is on our side, and that's why the best way is to show the truth we have. Eventually, truth wins over, and so you just need to show it.
But Ukraine's future depends not just on how strongly the government, the armed forces and even the people stand by their intentions, but also how much its friends are willing to support it through what may be one of its defining moments in its modern history.